The story opens in the depths of a distant star system, where the Vreltan, an advanced but beleaguered alien civilization, face an existential crisis. Their homeworld, Vrelta Prime, has been ravaged by a sudden and catastrophic invasion from a rival species known as the Crawl. Outgunned and outnumbered, the Vreltan desperately seek assistance. With their planetary defenses failing and their cities burning, their leaders make a fateful decision. They send out a distress signal, a galactic SOS broadcast designed to alert any willing allies in the surrounding star systems. The message ripples across space, traveling faster than light, reaching countless civilizations, some peaceful, some hostile. The Vreltan expect rescue teams or medical aid, perhaps reinforcements to help push back the Crawl invaders. Among the recipients of the SOS is the notorious human civilization, widely known across the galaxy as the Deathworlders. These humans earned their fearsome nickname because of their home planet's brutal conditions, constant natural disasters, lethal predators, and a toxic environment that would kill most alien species within hours. Yet humans not only survive but thrive under these conditions, adapting with unparalleled resilience and brutal efficiency. Instead of sending medics, humanitarian aid, or peacekeepers, the humans respond to the SOS in a way no one expects. Their answer is a massive fleet of warships, weapons at the ready, streaming into the Vreltan system. The ships are intimidating, sleek, heavily armored, and bristling with offensive and defensive systems designed for rapid deployment and overwhelming firepower. The galactic community is stunned. The Vreltan themselves are confused, unsure whether this fleet is a rescue mission or a prelude to invasion. Inside the human command center aboard the flagship Sentinel, Admiral Kalen Rourke oversees the operation. To Rourke and her crew, this is no act of hostility. It's a standard protocol for human intervention on Deathworld-class crises. Their culture, forged in the crucible of Earth's merciless conditions, teaches that mercy and vulnerability can mean extinction. Where other species send medics and diplomats, humans send fleets. Sending medics into a battlefield without overwhelming force is a death sentence, a lesson hard learned over centuries of survival. Meanwhile, back on Vrelta Prime, the alien leaders scramble to decipher this unexpected response. Was the SOS misunderstood? Have the humans mistaken their plea for aid as a call for military assistance? Fear quickly morphs into panic. The Vreltan Political Council debates their options as the human fleet edges closer into orbit. Should they prepare for war, or hope that the humans' true intentions are more benign? Tensions escalate as the humans make no effort to disguise their presence. Their fleet blocks the space lanes and establishes orbital control. Communications from the human flagship to the Vreltan leaders are formal and curt. No words of comfort, only clear directives that any threat must be neutralized immediately. The Vreltan military mobilizes, uncertain whether to view the humans as saviors or a new enemy. Throughout the galactic community, whispers spread of the humans' cold and calculating approach. Other species wonder what it truly means to be a Deathworlder. The arrival of the human fleet shatters illusions about alien rescue missions, revealing a harsh truth. Humans do not send medics. They send fleets. As the story's opening act ends, the galaxy watches in suspense, wondering what will happen when two very different civilizations, one desperate and vulnerable, the other relentless and battle-hardened, collide under the shadow of war The story continues. The human fleet moves decisively into the Vreltan system, their arrival signaling a turning point for the desperate alien civilization. The once peaceful star system, now scarred by conflict, feels the weight of an overwhelming presence as dozens of human warships take strategic positions around the Vreltan homeworld. The alien population watches in fear and awe as the vessels cast long shadows over their cities and space stations. The humans' arrival is unlike any rescue mission the Vreltan or their neighboring species have ever witnessed. Rather than sending unarmed medical ships or aid convoys, the humans deploy a full combat fleet ready for immediate engagement. Each human ship gleams with advanced technology, automated defense turrets, layered energy shields, and powerful weapon arrays capable of devastating strikes. The fleet's flagship, Sentinel, commands the formation with disciplined precision. a symbol of the human military's uncompromising efficiency. Vreltan diplomats rush to establish communication channels, eager to understand the humans' intentions. They expect words of aid, negotiation, or at least reassurance. Instead, the message they receive is cold and direct. The human commander, Admiral Kalen Rourke, broadcasts a clear and uncompromising statement. "We have come to assess the situation. Any hostile actions against us will be met with immediate and overwhelming force." The tone is devoid of diplomatic pleasantries. It conveys a warning. Mercy will not be extended lightly. This stark declaration baffles the Vreltan leadership. Their culture, which values negotiation and mercy, struggles to comprehend the humans' approach. To the aliens, this show of force seems hostile, even threatening. Fear ripples through the population, fueling paranoia and distrust. The question arises among the Vreltan: are these humans saviors or conquerors? The answer is unclear, and the uncertainty threatens to unravel fragile alliances within their government. Inside the human fleet, the atmosphere is pragmatic and focused. Admiral Rourke's crew operates with cold professionalism. To them, this mission is an exercise in survival tactics learned over generations on Earth's Deathworld conditions. They know that sending medics without overwhelming force invites disaster. This hard-learned lesson guides every action. Their objective is clear: ensure no threat persists, protect human interests, and if possible, offer aid, but only on their terms. Tensions escalate quickly. Vreltan warships attempt cautious maneuvers near the human fleet, probing defenses but avoiding direct confrontation. Humans respond with displays of force, precision laser strikes in uninhabited space, electronic warfare measures disrupting alien sensors, and rapid deployment of armed boarding teams to nearby moons. The message is unmistakable: the humans control this battlefield. Amidst this tension, a few brave Vreltan diplomats attempt to open dialogue, proposing negotiations to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Admiral Rourke allows limited communication but insists on strict conditions. Any hostile intent will be met with swift retaliation. The negotiations are tense, filled with mistrust on both sides. Humans view the Vreltan's desperation as weakness, while the Vreltan see the humans' aggression as brutality. Meanwhile, word of the human fleet's arrival spreads throughout the galaxy. Other species watch carefully, intrigued and wary. The myth of humans as Deathworlders begins to take on new meaning. These are not peaceful helpers, but a civilization that answers SOS calls with overwhelming military might. This revelation reshapes galactic politics and alliances. As Part 2 closes, the standoff between humans and Vreltan teeters on the edge of conflict. The alien planet braces itself, uncertain whether the humans' presence signals salvation or annihilation. The story sets the stage for the impending clash of cultures and survival philosophies that will define the conflict to come. As the uneasy standoff between the humans and the Vreltan intensifies, Part 3 delves deeper into the cultural and military mindset that drives the human response, a mindset alien to most of the galaxy, but forged in the brutal crucible of Earth's Deathworld environment. The scene shifts back in time through flashbacks and strategic discussions aboard the human flagship Sentinel, revealing the core of humanity's war doctrine. Unlike most galactic civilizations that prioritize diplomacy, medical aid, or peacekeeping forces in crisis zones, humans have learned a harsher lesson. In Deathworld conditions, where predators are lethal, weather is merciless, and resources are scarce, sending medics or lightly armed aid is tantamount to suicide. Humanity's survival depends on overwhelming firepower and rapid neutralization of threats. Admiral Kalen Rourke and her officers review reports and historical data illustrating centuries of Earth's evolution amid unforgiving natural disasters, hostile megafauna, and relentless competition. This environment shaped humanity's collective psyche into one of relentless resilience and pragmatism. Mercy, in this context, is not an option, but a liability. Weakness invites death, and survival demands strength and swift, decisive action. Within this framework, sending fleets instead of medics becomes a tactical imperative. It ensures that aid arrives not only to heal but to protect and, if necessary, annihilate any danger. The human military doctrine, painstakingly developed over generations, emphasizes preemptive strength, showing overwhelming force to prevent escalation or exploitation by enemies. Meanwhile, on the alien side, the Vreltan scientists and diplomats scramble to understand this unfamiliar mindset. Their culture has long valued compassion and negotiation, often sending medical teams first during crises to minimize casualties and build trust. The idea that aid could come armed to the teeth with warships puzzles them deeply. This cultural divide highlights a fundamental difference in survival philosophies. The Vreltan believe in trust and mercy, while humans rely on power and deterrence. The flashbacks also reveal key moments in human history when failure to apply overwhelming force led to devastating losses. One notable example involves early colonial skirmishes on Earth's harshest territories, where sending unprotected medical teams resulted in their quick annihilation by hostile forces or environmental dangers. These costly lessons cemented the military's doctrine that only fleets backed by full combat readiness can ensure survival and successful intervention. Back in the present, the humans' covert task forces begin to infiltrate Vreltan territory to gather intelligence. These special units operate under strict orders to avoid unnecessary casualties among civilians, but remain ready to neutralize any hostile elements immediately. Their stealthy movements demonstrate the deadly efficiency born from Deathworld conditioning, silent, ruthless, and effective. At the same time, Admiral Rourke addresses her officers, reinforcing the principle that humans must never be seen as weak or easily exploited. This mission is as much a demonstration of human survival culture as it is a rescue operation. Any misstep could invite disaster, not just for humans but also for the alien species they aim to protect. The Vreltan leaders watch these human maneuvers with growing unease. The stark contrast between their hope for benevolent aid and the humans' cold pragmatism deepens their fear. As the humans prepare for possible combat, the alien leaders realize that the situation might escalate beyond a simple rescue mission. They face a grim choice: adapt to human expectations of strength or risk annihilation. Part 3 ends on this tense note, emphasizing the clash of ideologies that underpins the unfolding conflict. It sets the stage for the inevitable clash, not just of weapons, but of fundamentally different views on survival, mercy, and what it means to be a civilization in a hostile galaxy. The mounting tension between humans and the Vreltan explodes in Part 4 as the alien civilization refuses to accept the human fleet's overwhelming presence without resistance. The Vreltan, driven by desperation and fear, launch a series of bold and calculated counterattacks against the human forces occupying their system. From the moment the humans established orbital control, the Vreltan military commanders have been forced into a corner. Their technology, while advanced, cannot match the human fleet's firepower and tactical discipline. Yet, the Vreltan are not ready to surrender. Instead, they adapt their strategies, relying on guerrilla tactics and asymmetric warfare to exploit what few advantages they have. The alien counterattack begins with swift, covert strikes on smaller human outposts scattered across the system's moons and asteroid belts. Vreltan stealth ships designed for speed and evasion harass human supply lines and communication arrays, attempting to disrupt the humans' coordination and supply chains. These raids are precise and swift, avoiding direct confrontations with the larger human warships. In response, the humans deploy their superior electronic warfare capabilities, jamming enemy communications and using drones to detect and neutralize hidden threats. The Sentinel and accompanying ships conduct surgical strikes on suspected Vreltan bases, carefully calibrated to minimize civilian casualties, but ruthless enough to dismantle enemy infrastructure. Despite their disadvantages, the Vreltan's resolve stiffens. Their political leaders, torn between factions favoring negotiation and those advocating total resistance, watch as the conflict intensifies. The alien scientists race to develop new technologies and countermeasures to offset the human technological edge, hoping to level the playing field. Amid this growing conflict, a critical subplot unfolds: an unexpected dialogue between a human commander and a Vreltan rebel leader. Commander Mara Solon, a veteran of harsh Earth survival campaigns, is tasked with leading ground operations on the alien planet's surface. During a temporary ceasefire in a contested zone, she encounters Jalen Torv, a passionate but pragmatic Vreltan rebel commander. Their exchange is tense and revealing. Solon explains the brutal logic behind humanity's approach, how their survival depends on showing strength first, mercy second, if at all. She speaks of Earth's harsh conditions where hesitation means death and weakness invites annihilation. Torv, while deeply distrustful, acknowledges the harsh reality that his people face. Their dialogue lays bare the irreconcilable cultural differences that fuel the conflict. The Vreltan, emboldened by their attacks and hopeful for any chance to turn the tide, escalate their efforts. They deploy newly developed energy weapons and attempt to jam human sensors, leading to a few costly skirmishes with human patrols. However, the humans' relentless training and superior tactics ensure that each Vreltan assault is ultimately repelled. Throughout these clashes, the civilian population suffers. Cities are damaged, infrastructure is destroyed, and casualties mount on both sides. The Vreltan government struggles to maintain order as fear and anger grow among its people. Back. Aboard the Sentinel, Admiral Rourke faces mounting pressure from her officers. Some urge immediate full-scale assault to end the conflict swiftly, while others caution restraint to avoid turning the Vreltan into permanent enemies. Rourke's leadership is tested as she balances military objectives with political realities. The part concludes with a dramatic battle above a key Vreltan industrial moon. Vreltan forces launch a massive assault intending to cripple human supply lines. The humans respond with overwhelming force, decimating the alien fleet but at the cost of significant damage to the moon's facilities and increased civilian suffering. The brutal efficiency of the human fleet leaves no doubt. This war will not be won by diplomacy alone. After weeks of relentless skirmishes and escalating hostilities, Part 5 marks a turning point. The reckoning between the humans and the Vreltan that will decide the fate of the war and the future of the Vreltan civilization. The story opens with both sides exhausted but unyielding. The Vreltan have suffered heavy losses, critical infrastructure destroyed, their fleet severely weakened and the morale of their people shaken. Yet their resolve is unbroken. The political factions that once debated surrender now unite behind a desperate plan, one final decisive strike to push the human fleet out of their system. It's a gamble born of necessity, driven by the instinct to survive against overwhelming odds. On the human side, Admiral Kalen Rourke faces a dilemma. The fleet has demonstrated overwhelming superiority, but the prolonged conflict has revealed unforeseen consequences. Civilian casualties among the Vreltan mount, and political pressures from other galactic powers wary of human aggression begin to mount. Rourke must balance the cold logic of military efficiency with the complexities of interstellar diplomacy. Her orders are clear: neutralize all threats swiftly, but avoid unnecessary destruction to prevent turning an ally into a permanent enemy. The Vreltan's final strike centers on a massive fleet assembled in secret near a nearby asteroid belt. Using stolen technology and innovative tactics, they aim to ambush the human forces during a routine resupply operation. Their plan relies on hitting the humans where they are most vulnerable: logistics and communications. As the human resupply convoy enters the asteroid belt, the ambush is sprung. The battle is chaotic and brutal. Vreltan ships, smaller but more maneuverable, swarm the convoy, firing bursts of energy and deploying swarms of drones designed to disable rather than destroy, hoping to capture supplies and cripple human operations. The humans respond with practiced coordination. Escort ships form tight defensive formations, unleashing devastating counterattacks that vaporize many Vreltan vessels. Despite the humans' overwhelming firepower, the ambush succeeds in damaging several key supply ships, forcing the Sentinel to divert resources to protect the convoy. This tactical victory emboldens the Vreltan, showing that human fleets, while powerful, are not invincible. Back on the ground, the war intensifies. Commander Mara Solon leads a combined human force tasked with securing vital Vreltan infrastructure. Her experience on Earth's Deathworlds proves invaluable as she navigates hostile terrain and unpredictable ambushes. Yet even with her skills, the Vrelton's knowledge of their planet gives them a home advantage. Guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, and booby traps slow the human advance. Meanwhile, the personal toll of war becomes apparent. Both sides suffer casualties, and the growing human presence strains local resources and inflames tensions with civilians. Among the Vrelton, resistance fighters grow in number, fueled by anger and fear. On the human side, doubts arise among some officers about the mission's morality and the price of their approach. The climax of Part 5 arrives with the Vrelton's final desperate attempt to break the human siege, a massive coordinated strike aimed at the Sentinel itself. Using captured human tech and their own innovations, the Vrelton launch a surprise assault, breaching the human fleet's outer defenses. The battle is fierce. Human crews fight with fierce determination, leveraging superior training and tactics to repel the attackers. Admiral Rourke commands with precision, orchestrating countermeasures and deploying elite strike teams to secure vulnerable points. The Sentinel sustains damage but remains operational. In the aftermath, both sides acknowledge the brutal cost of the conflict. The Vrelton are battered but still defiant, while the humans recognize that their arrival has irrevocably changed the fate of this civilization. The reckoning forces all involved to confront the harsh realities of survival, cultural clashes, and the true meaning of aid in a galaxy where mercy often comes with a price. The war between humans and the Vrelton reaches its climax in Part 6, and the aftermath of the brutal conflict reshapes the destiny of both civilizations forever. The story shifts from intense battles to the profound consequences of the war, political, cultural, and psychological, and sets the stage for a new chapter in galactic relations. With the Vrelton military decimated and their capital world heavily damaged, a fragile ceasefire emerges. Both sides are exhausted and wary. The humans maintain a vigilant presence, ready to respond to any sign of renewed hostility, while the Vrelton leaders convene urgently to assess the cost of resistance and the path forward. For the Vrelton, the war has been a harsh awakening. Their long-held beliefs in mercy, negotiation, and trust have been severely tested against the harsh reality of humanity's survival doctrine. The arrival of the human fleet, armored not with medics, but with fleets, forces a cultural reckoning. Many among the Vrelton begin to question whether their previous approach to crises left them dangerously vulnerable. In the corridors of power, a new faction rises, one that advocates adapting to human methods of survival, endorsing strength, and preparedness as essential to their continued existence. This ideological shift sparks fierce debate and deep divisions, threatening the fragile unity that remains. On the human side, Admiral Kalen Rourke reflects on the mission's cost. While the fleet succeeded in neutralizing threats and stabilizing the region, the human commanders understand that their arrival has altered galactic perceptions of humanity. Once regarded as potential peacekeepers, humans are now seen as fearsome Deathworlders, soldiers who bring fleets, not medics, to crises. This reputation, while intimidating, risks isolating humanity diplomatically. Commander Mara Solon, who witnessed the war's brutal realities firsthand, begins advocating for a balanced approach, combining strength with measured diplomacy to avoid needless suffering in future engagements. Her experiences among the Vrelton civilians have given her a nuanced perspective that challenges the rigid survival doctrines. Amid these political shifts, the Vrelton population struggles to rebuild. Cities lie in ruins, economies are shattered, and societal trust is fractured. Yet, in the shadow of destruction, seeds of resilience begin to grow. Vrelton scientists and strategists study human tactics and technology, seeking to integrate new lessons into their culture without losing their identity. This blending of philosophies promises a transformation in their civilization's future. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, other alien species observe the human approach with a mixture of fear and respect. The legend of the Deathworlders, beings, shaped by brutal worlds who respond to SOS signals with overwhelming force, spreads. Some begin reconsidering their own strategies for survival, while others deepen their distrust of humanity. The story closes on a poignant note of uneasy peace and uncertain futures. The Vreltan send emissaries to the human fleet, proposing dialogue not just for ceasefire terms but for a potential alliance, one founded on mutual understanding forged in the fires of conflict. Humans, while cautious, recognize the value of building bridges after the storm. This final awakening symbolizes a shift in the galaxy's balance of power and philosophy. The tale of aliens regret sending SOS, Deathworlders send fleets, not medics, ends with the powerful message that survival in a hostile universe demands more than mercy or might alone. It requires adaptation, respect for different perspectives, and the willingness to change.